back. How are you? I'm fine. How are you? Okay, so today we're going to be doing another drunk makeup because you guys loved the first one so much and my last one flopped. So what else would I do? You know what I mean? But today we're going to be getting drunk, doing our makeup while we read scary true stories on Reddit. Do I need a Discord server at this point? Do I need to start calling you guys kittens? Because I'm addicted to Reddit. I don't know why. I wish I could just play this out loud. Is that a thing? I feel like that is a thing for people who are like blind. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna get started. Say hi, Stephanie. Hydration is key. First shot of the night. Let me just say, I blacked out like 3-4 days ago when I was drinking, which never happens to me. I remember everything. I hate being one of those people that like, when they drink or they get drunk, they like are sloppy and they forget everything. So every time I get drunk, I tell myself, I'm gonna remember everything tonight. And I do. But the other night, I blacked out. I don't like having voids of where I don't remember anything because it makes me feel like I got knocked out. And that's not cutesy. So here's the first story. I was on a backpacking trip in the Appalachian Trail, and my dad and I stopped at one of the many public cabins. We set our bags down and joined the campfire. Okay. This is getting into it really quickly. Honestly, the worse the grammar, the worse the story goes, I believe it more because if like you're really good at telling a story, then I'm like, when did you make this up? And we joined the campfire. It was just us and a middle-aged Asian couple. Was that necessary to say that? Okay, I guess they're just building the scene, and I guess we needed to know they were Asian. Okay. We began talking and the sun sets, so we don't expect anyone else to come. Nevertheless, this huge guy, okay, me, with long silver hair, sets his small backpack down under the awning and joins us at the fire. Is this like a public thing where everyone like shares, everyone's just sharing the same campsite, or I don't know what's going on. Joins us at the fire. He was no less than 6'8", extremely muscular, and had his hair tied back into a ponytail. Okay, so maybe this isn't me. Imagine a more muscular Geralt from The Witcher. I've never seen The Witcher, but my boyfriend did try to get me to watch it. I'm gonna shut the fuck up. We start talking and he seems very friendly. Then my dad asks the man, "So where are you from?" No response. My dad repeats the question, thinking the guy didn't hear him. No response. The Asian guy, well, just seems wrong saying that. The Asian guy The Asian guy asks the question, and suddenly the big guy explodes, yelling, I don't fucking know. Jesus. He then takes out a huge Bowie knife and a wet stone and starts sharpening it. And all of us decide to pack our stuff and book it to the next cabin, which is about 7 miles away. It was a walk. But we eventually made it there, and there was a dirty hippie dude already there. He stunk like hell, but he was harmless. What the fuck? He stunk really fucking bad, but like he wasn't gonna hurt us, so that's all we can ask for. We stop at the campfire, hang out for a bit, and I see a reflection out of the corner of my eye. I turn around and see the big, silver-haired guy standing in the tree line, spying on us. At that moment, I nearly shit my pants, because there was no way out of all of us we could take this guy on. He was built like a WWE wrestler, and we were all under 6 feet. I let the other people know, and the Asian guy took out a revolver and told the man to go the fuck off. Big guy stands there for a moment and suddenly walks off into the woods without making any sound. After the incident, we agreed to have someone keep watch. Since the Asian guy had a gun, he volunteered while we slept. In the morning, I was so glad big guy didn't come back. Okay, people in my life when I'm not around. Since the Asian guy had a gun, he volunteered, we slept. In the morning, I was so glad the big guy didn't come back. Because Asian man fell asleep, that shit still gives me chills. So I was like picking these stories thinking they were gonna be like action-packed, like he tried cutting me and I did a backhand spring over the knife. He stalked me for 7 days. But That story was nothing of the sort. But like, I also don't want to read the story to make sure it's good first, because I also want to give you guys my reaction to it. Hiccups are not good this early into drinking. I'm gonna try to find some better ones. Okay, I think I struck gold just by reading the comments. So if this story is boring like Mr. Big Ass with fucking silver hair, then I'm sorry, but you guys are getting my honest and real raw reaction. So what else the fuck do you guys want from me? It's titled, Always Trust Your Gut Feeling. Okay, bitch. Before I go any further with this, I know I've done some pretty stupid things over the years, and I never really believed in the paranormal until this incident happened. This sounds juicy. About when me and my best friend were in high school. About high school. Year 11 to be exact. Okay, so about, but you know exact, okay. Are you fibbing this story or what? I was staying over at my friend's place for the weekend after I just finished my work shift. It was around this time my best friend and I had an art project that was due soonish, and she didn't have any inspiration to help her create something original. Then she came up with the idea to do a freaky photo shoot to see if that would help inspire her to create something. And it ended up being her muse, you could say. And mind you, she is very much into special effects and stuff, as she is a makeup artist in the making. Okay, me right now? What the fuck? So by the time she was finished with the makeup, you could say I looked like a decaying and walking corpse. Play. We decided to take some photos out in her backyard and then go analyze the pictures. Some got her attention and some didn't. So then I cleaned myself up, and then we got the brilliant, not so brilliant idea that maybe we should go to the nearby lake, since there were some awesome places there that would be perfect. Mind you, it was already 11:30 p.m. at night. Not slay. The first mistake we made was actually going through with that idea. I'm mixing these together. Like I said in my previous video, this is not a how-to. I'm barely even paying attention to what the fuck I'm doing. I just feel like the makeup I'm using is just none of it matches my skin. So if you know what shade I am, because you can just tell by looking at my fat ass, go ahead and comment what shade I am. The fuck? The first mistake we had made was actually going through with the idea at 11:30 at night, which, well, it was pretty stupid to begin with since with all the bad things happening around our local areas. Missing people, animals, murders, etc. I'm sorry, what? That alone should have been clear indication that we shouldn't be going. That wasn't a thought to us in the slightest. Okay, are they white? Me, literally white, but... So when my best friend drives us there and parks in the big empty car parking lot, which, okay, empty big car parking lot, okay, empty parking lot, which was another clear indicator that we really shouldn't be there. We just sat in her car for a good few minutes, just discussing how the photos should be taken. Then, that's when I got a chill down my spine and the sensation that we were being watched from somewhere. It's kind of kinky, if you ask me about it. That feeling never really left, and to this day, I can't believe my stupid self had just blatantly ignored that altogether. I mean, yeah, that was pretty stupid. I wasn't the only one. My best friend also got the same exact feeling I did, and then we proceeded to get out of her car and start taking photos like we discussed. She has fake realistic swords and other weapons, so we were perfectly fine, besides feeling like we were being watched. What happened next still makes my heart stop, because the place we were had a hiking and biking trails, as well as being surrounded by a woodland area. Am I having a stroke? Am I drunk off one shot? What if I'm skinny? Sorry, I'm too petite and frail to handle my liquor. And not to mention, a lake just off to our left, a good few meters away. What we heard whilst in the middle of taking some more photos was the sound between a strangled or dying animal mixed with a high-pitched human scream. And when I tell you it sounded way too close for comfort, that sound lasted for a good solid minute. Just one singular sound with no breath in between. Then it stopped and went eerily quiet. Way too quiet. Now, looking back on it, there was no sound of insects making any noise when we got out of the car, and there was very clearly none after that sound, which only means that there was a predator or something of the sorts nearby. I thought I was just hearing things, or thought it possibly was just a native animal of sorts. At this point, me and my best friend were starting to freak out a little bit, because when we heard the sounds of sticks on the ground snapping in half to the right or near us in the hiking trail, which wasn't too far from where we were not that long ago. We tried not to panic and finished the last few of the photos. I think I was zoning in and out, focusing on what she wanted me to do. For example, like hold a sword in a swinging position, like you were able to slay down a beast.
Slay down, house down, boots.
I sensed that my best friend had stopped giving instructions and looked to her to see that she was standing and looking terrified, to say the least. This was our conversation in that moment. Me.
You good?
My best friend.
Slowly come over to me, but whatever you do, don't look behind you.
Girl, what in the Blumhouse movie is going on? When she said those words, I instinctively and very stupidly looked behind me. To see that standing about a good 10 meters or so away from me was a tall, stocky, but lean black figure that wasn't quite human nor animal. From the looks of it, but at first, I thought it was a kangaroo. Yes, I forgot to mention that we live in Australia. Bitch. Nor. With the way it was carrying itself, a very big kangaroo in this instance. I then wished that I hadn't looked, and now looked back at my best friend, and now realized we needed to leave immediately, because whatever the hell that thing behind me was, definitely wasn't friendly at all. We couldn't just bolt off back to the car, as that would definitely cause the thing to chase us down, and it definitely would catch up with no trouble at all. So we had to, calmly as possible, pick up our belongings and slowly go back to the car. But since I don't know what the hell we were dealing with, I didn't want to keep my back it as that would have very, very stupid. Okay. I am not having a stroke. This bitch is pissing me off. The things they're doing is pissing me off. The way she's writing is pissing me off. But I have to remember, they're Australians. I love you guys. Thankfully, it was, but as soon as we got to the car and quickly got in, making sure the doors were locked, I looked at the windshield and saw it was no longer there. We quickly hightailed it out of there, and once back on the road, I then looked in the side of the mirror of the car and saw the figure standing motionless in the middle of the road watching us leave. That's when me and my best friend finally could process what just happened. Then just before we got to the main road again, there was an actual kangaroo standing in the middle of the road, which freaked us out even more. But we didn't have a car accident from it. In parentheses. Okay. And maybe that would make this story more interesting. Okay. Not wishing car accidents on people is not a nice thing to do. Okay. Needless to say, always trust your gut feeling or you may not live long enough to tell that tale. Okay. Thoughts on that story. I truly do believe in like skinwalkers and stuff. I do. I believe in skinwalkers. I believe it's also just fun to believe in those things. I know they're scary things that you honestly probably don't wish there to be real because it's scary. But in the same, this is such an ugly color. It's orange. But like in the same breath, like how boring would the world be without like monsters and people who have powers and shit like that? But okay, back to how I feel about this story. I think that could have been a skinwalker. I do. If she's telling the fucking truth. Alright, we got another story. Horrifying experience at a bus stop.
Fucking hate
the bus. I used to take the bus from my whole life, pretty much. My mom always either worked really early in the morning so she couldn't take me to school, or my mom didn't work and she just didn't want to get up and take me to school. Which, I mean, to be honest, I hated her for it when I was little. But I probably would do the same shit. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I'd be a good parent. You guys really probably don't fucking care about this. And then when I was in high school, the school that I was going to was too far, so the school bus didn't come, so I had to take the city bus. And when I tell you there were so many crackhead instances, it should have been fucking illegal. It probably was illegal. Kids riding along on the city bus should not be a thing. But so many crackheads. Hi Reddit, this is my first time posting on the site in years. For context on the story, I am a 19-year-old girl residing in East London. Okay, bougie. 2 weeks ago, oh, she's a fresh, when was this? 2 days ago. This was posted 2 days ago, and when she wrote this, it happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I was on a night out in the town. Which I won't name. You just said East London. I mean, I guess you're not going to give us the full town, whatever. However, it's on the eastern outskirts of Greater London. It was a cold Friday night in early May when I began to walk home. By this time, I was heavily drunk, me in a few hours, and I had split off from my friends Sonia and Marcus. Is every British dude's name Marcus, or is that not true? All my friends were also blackout drunk. They took the Elizabeth line to go home. I took the Elizabeth line. Girl, what's going on in fucking Britain? To get home to their university digs in Harrow. So I was left all by myself. Who the fuck left you by yourself? That's fucked up. As I began to walk to the bus stop, which wasn't far from the club, I noticed a tall, skinny man with his head in his hands sitting on the red plastic bench at the stop.
Plastic?
I couldn't see much of his face as it was obscured by his long, dark, brown, messy hair. I sat down on the bench furthest away from him. The area was deserted, and honestly, this guy was giving me the creeps. He was wearing a dark brown leather bomber jacket, green cargos, and a Mayhem band t-shirt. I sat and waited for the bus. For around 5 minutes, scrolling through TikTok. Has she seen my videos? Has she? When suddenly my focus was interrupted by the sound of sobbing coming from my left. I turned to see the man, head still in his hands, sobbing uncontrollably. I glanced at the man several times before making my decision. I scooted over to him, put my hand on his shoulder. Keep in mind, I was still in my drunk-induced, confident, sociable state. He looked up at me. Admittedly, I thought he was quite handsome. That was until I was hit by his breath. What the fuck? That's funny as fuck.
Sorry. Okay, you're hot, but your breath reeks, so you're not hot anymore.
Which was a foul stench, a mixture of cigarettes, vomit, and tooth decay. Okay. He had thick, furrowed, dark eyebrows, short yet unkept stubble, tears rolling down his face. I asked him, "Hey, are you alright?" At this point, his facial expressions changed. He let out a loud smoker's cough, covering his mouth with his elbow. Wiping his tears away with the same elbow, him inverting his elbow to cover his cough. Wiping his tears away with the same elbow, he looked me in the eyes and simply said, "I've hurt a lot of people." Sorry, what? In what way? Like in a mental way? Like you yelled at people, you cussed at people before, or... That's what you mean, right? At this point, I started to sense the vibe was off, and I asked, "What do you mean?" I felt the alcohol starting to lose its effects on me. I regretted interacting with this man at all. He told me plainly, "I've killed someone." So when you say you killed someone, do you mean like, "Oh, I killed that pussy last night"? Or like, I killed someone's vibe? Or do you mean like you literally... At this moment, my heart sunk into the bottom of my chest. I thought he must be joking or lying. I timidly said, "Wait, what?" I was choking on my words. He went on to confess to me that he had killed a 17-year-old boy after arranging a gay encounter with him over Grindr. He told me that he stabbed the boy in the neck with a screwdriver before burning his body in the woods with lighter fluid. I really hope that he's schizophrenic and imagine this, because this story, we had like the cutesy stories before. But what is going on now? I stood there aghast at this sudden confession. When I saw the headlights of the night bus approaching from the distance, without hesitating, I boarded, tapped my Oyster tapped my oyster, and looked back. He did not follow me on. Okay. I honestly think one of the scariest parts of this story was her tapping her oyster.
Because what the fuck does that mean?
Okay, this is serious. Oh my god. What if he was telling the truth and he really did kill someone? I ride the bus only for around 4 stops before reaching my house. As I step out from the bus, I look to my left only to see a dark figure with long, dark brown hair running towards me down the street. I book it towards my house, shove the key into the lock before slamming the door shut, screaming for my mom. The night I dreamt of the encounter in vivid detail, and the following night and the night after. However, as the nights went on, I would see the act of murder in his eyes as if it was a projection. The dream would pause as he looked up to me, and the pause would be no longer each night. Seeing more vivid details reflected from his dark green eyes. The dream stopped around a week after the experience, but I was left deeply disturbed. What unsettled me the most was his voice, robotic and deep, sounding almost distorted, as if I dreamt of him more and more. My last dream was on the night of the 11th of May, a Saturday night. I was woken to complete paralysis of my body. I heard, as clear as day from across the room, there wasn't just one victim, loudly in a female voice. I made my official police report today, 5-18-24, and was given a reference number. The police told me they would try to identify the man, as he was caught on CCTV walking past the club I was at several times that night, which ironically is opposite of the police station. That story, if it's true, because I'm very cynical about stuff like that, is really fucking scary. What the fuck? I've been hearing a lot of fucking stories recently of men going on Grindr and trying to find like gay people and killing them. You need to be careful. And I don't think there's enough coverage about what's going on, because I don't think police really care. But I've been hearing a lot of stories of that and no one's talking about it. We're going to get started with the eyes before we get to the next story, but that story is really fucked up. I think I'm going to do like a red fading into a black just to match the spooky vibes. Okay, I think I'm done with the eyeshadow. I'm so bad with blending black out. I don't know why. It doesn't look that bad, but it doesn't look amazing. And I'm hoping that when I put mascara on, because I'm not putting on fucking lashes, it'll fix it. I don't know. But I'm going to take a shot and then we're going to find our next story. I found a story on Reddit, another one. It's called My Neighbor the Priest. There's only 2 comments on it, so I don't know how interesting it's going to be. But we're going to fucking find out. Sorry for my bad grammar. I'm not good at writing, but I wanted to share. Around a year ago, I, 15 female, at the time lived in a smallish house with my single mother. My mom is a very bubbly woman who can start a conversation with literally anyone and is loved by everyone. I remember one morning hearing her talk to someone outside my bedroom window. Just shrugging it off, I eventually went downstairs to ask who she was talking to, finding out that she was talking to our new neighbor. She was very sympathetic towards him, as he described himself as a very old, she said around 95-ish, okay, and lived by himself. A nurse coming to visit him a few times a month. My mom also found out while talking to him that he had no family members, as they all passed away. So it really was just him. She also mentioned that he was a priest, which I found really quite creepy. Weeks had passed by, and my mom, being the kind woman she is, cut our new neighbor's grass for him. Okay, so her grammar is bad, but that's okay. Being the kind woman she is, cut our new neighbor's grass for him and would usually strike up a conversation out of pity. I just want to mention that I have never seen this man once. My house had a window at the top of my stairs that, if you looked out, faces the priest's house. And as they were almost identically built, there was a window facing right back at ours. Again, I never saw this man, only in his dim landing light on. It had been around 3 months since I've heard about the priest. This one night I will never forget. Around 1 a.m., I'd gone downstairs to get something to eat. And on my journey back up the stairs, and to my bedroom. I looked out the landing window out of just pure instinct. There was, on the opposite side was the old man, his hand gripping the banister as he held himself up the stairs. The lighting was terrible, but he was very skinny, as old people usually are. Being nosy, I stood there for a moment, wanting to get a good look at him. He was hunched over slightly as he struggled to almost carry his own body weight, and I swore I could see the ridges of his spine. Okay, how I want to be. Let me be skinny. What the fuck? I could see the ridges of his spine through his shirt as he hobbled out of view of the window. Not to mention, but this freaked me the fuck out, and I immediately went to my room trying to get the disturbing image out of my mind before I slept. Okay, not you body shaming him.
Around a week, maybe two later, the police nurse showed up at our door asking if we'd seen him recently, as she was unable to get into his house and it was completely locked and sealed. She hadn't heard from him in over 4 months and was getting concerned for his well-being. I wasn't at home to tell her I'd seen him in the window, as I was at school, so my mother just said she hadn't heard from him either. The nurse called the police, who broke down his door. I was just walking home as I reached my house, the police giving another blow at the door with like a pole thing, and I don't really know what it was at all. All I do know is that when the door finally came down, the smell that left the house could make anyone's toes curl. All I can describe is it was when your cat brings home a mouse and it dies under your couch without you knowing. Rushing inside, I immediately went up to my room, peering out my bedroom window, watching the police enter his house, covering their noses.
I don't really know what happened after that, except that they wheeled his body out in a black bag and into a back of a black van. It was sad, really. I'd never gotten to speak to him, and I know I felt guilty for being so horrified at his appearance. My mom was also distraught by his passing and was talking to the police outside. His house took weeks to be cleaned, as when he died, all the windows and doors were shut, keeping the smell locked in. When the police left and the street went silent again, I found myself spending more time with my mom downstairs. She's always been religious, so as we spoke, she lit a candle for him out of respect and helped him pass into heaven. Bringing up the putrid smell, I asked what the police told her, and what she told me stuck with me since that day. She told me he'd died a few months ago and had been found decomposing in his bed. At first, I just shrugged this off when we spoke. Yeah, it was disturbing, but more sad nobody had noticed his disappearance. But then it clicked. If he died a few months ago, who was it that I saw through the window? I mentioned this to my mom. She also knew I'd never spoke to him while he was alive, so she asked me what he looked like. Wispy white hair, a bony hunchback. Wispy white hair and a bony hunchback. Okay, she didn't have to do him in like that, because what the fuck? Okay, I still remember her face dropped from a blush pink to a pale white. We moved out a month later. The story isn't that interesting, as I haven't had many scary paranormal things happen to me, but it's a true story and I hope you enjoyed. Okay, first thing I want to say, she did not have to drag his ass that fucking hard. Second of all, I do believe in ghosts. Like I said earlier, I believe in everything witchy and, well, there's too many ghost stories for every single one to be fake. You know what I mean? Alright, this is the end of the video. I'm going to show you guys the finished makeup look when I put everything on. And then I'll come back to show you how the fuck it turned out.